Good morning, everyone. You're watching our mid-morning edition of Arirang News on this Monday, May 25th. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Shin Se-min. And before we begin with these are the stories we're following at this hour. Around the world, countries that had started reopening from lockdowns are reconsidering their decision with the spike of new COVID-19 cases being spotted. South Korea is digitizing visitor information at high-risk places starting June to cut down on errors and delays in contact tracing caused by those giving false personal information. Plus, thousands of demonstrators filled the streets of downtown Hong Kong in the biggest protest in months, defying social distancing protocols to protest against Beijing's plan for a sweeping new national security law. At the nation's top office, President Moon Jae-in will be chairing a meeting between the government ruling party and the presidential office later this Monday to discuss the country's fiscal strategy. The top office says the participants will be discussing the role of finance in overcoming the COVID-19 crisis, as well as preparing for a post-virus era. They will also discuss the pace of fiscal spending given the series of stimulus measures rolled out to tackle the outbreak. President Moon had earlier stressed the need to leave enough fiscal room to prepare for any potential economic shock. South Korean quarantine authorities are continuing their battle against local transmissions of COVID-19 that stemmed from Seoul's nightlife district of Itaewon. As a result, the government is mandating a QR code-based visitor register for all nightlife entertainment establishments, including clubs and bars. Our Kim Hyo-sun with the details.
As of Sunday, South Korean quarantine authorities have confirmed at least 225 confirmed COVID-19 cases in relation to the Itaewon club cluster infection. 96 were in the club at the time, while the other 129 are contacts, including family members or colleagues.
Breaking the chain of transmission is deemed crucial right now as we witness the continued spread of the virus as a result of the Itaewon club cluster infection.
Quarantine authorities have confirmed there are even people who have caught the virus sixth-hand. To better track down potential coronavirus-infected patients, the South Korean government has rolled out plans to require high-risk entertainment establishments such as clubs and bars to use a quick response or QR code-based visitor register. This has been designed to prevent a second Itaewon cluster infection, where many club visitors submitted false personal information. With the new system, one's personal information, including name, contact number, and time of entry to facilities, will be stored in an encrypted form before the quarantine authorities can access them. Such information will be deleted automatically after 4 weeks.
One's personal information encrypted in the QR code will be stored in the encrypted format at the institutions that issue the QR codes. All detailed records will be stored separately by a third institution.
The system will be implemented from mid-June, being mandatory for all establishments that have been subject to the gathering ban issued by local governments. It will remain in place when the infectious disease alert level is at serious or cautionary. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
A COVID-19 test kit that can check if someone has the virus within 1 hour will soon be available here in South Korea. During the first week of June, the Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says it'll accept applications from local medical firms for the emergency use of authorization of such kits. The new kits are expected to come in handy for emergency situations, including for suspected patients due to go into labor. Currently, COVID-19 test kits approved for emergency use take around 6 hours to show either a positive or negative. With a gradual ease of national lockdowns around the world, people are resuming their outdoor activities, but many are breaking COVID-19 social distancing guidelines. Now, due to the problem it was facing, a city in Italy has decided to impose travel restrictions during the nighttime. Our Kim Da-mi reports.
Italians flocked to city spots over the weekend following the gradual ease of the country's COVID-19 lockdown.
It's been 75 days since I've been out the front door, and actually this situation makes me feel a little weird, but I really needed it.
But with many out and about as if it was back to the pre-COVID era, Italy is once again tightening up its loosened quarantine measures. Over the weekend, the northern city of Brescia imposed travel restrictions during the night. The country reopened businesses, including restaurants, last week, only to see people not wearing face masks and disregarding social distancing. Worrisome scenes were also spotted over the Memorial Day weekend in the U.S.
It's everybody's own personal responsibility to follow social distancing rules, and we've made it very, very clear that our beaches are active use only.
Despite the warning, hundreds of thousands of Americans sunbathing on beaches, including some 200 youngsters throwing a party on a street. In fact, the city of Tampa in Florida had to shut down a beach parking lot because of overflowing crowds. The U.S. has the highest number of confirmed COVID-19 in the world, with death toll expected to exceed 100,000 over the holiday weekend. In South America, the new epicenter of the pandemic, the number of newly confirmed cases a day is now 30 to 40,000. According to international statistics site Worldometer, as of Saturday, around 30 countries in the region have confirmed around 710,000 cases. The death toll in South America has reached almost 40,000. 김다미, 아리랑 뉴스.
More depressing developments for job seekers in the United States. The unemployment rate in that country could possibly stay in the double digits through the month of November. Senior White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett said on Sunday that the unemployment rate could be north of 20% in May, but it'll start to trend down after reaching a peak in June. However, he hinted some optimism that vaccines in July may shake things up. The U.S. unemployment rate already hit nearly 15% last month due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The U.S. says it'll likely impose sanctions on China if it implements national security laws that would give the mainland much greater control over Hong Kong. Now, this comes as thousands of citizens in Hong Kong poured into the streets to protest against the law. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
White House National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien on Sunday announced the U.S. will likely impose sanctions on China if Beijing implements its new national security laws on Hong Kong to strengthen its grip on the city. According to O'Brien, the draft legislation represents a takeover of Hong Kong, and as a consequence, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo would likely be unable to certify that the city maintains a high degree of autonomy.
And I don't think it's going to be, under the current circumstances, especially if the law is passed, it's hard to see how Secretary Pompeo could make that certification. If he fails to make that certification, there are consequences that come with it, sanctions and others.
This comes as a draft decision was made last Friday on establishing and improving the legal system and enforcement mechanisms for Hong Kong at China's parliament. A document which explains the decision says the one country, two systems principle achieved unprecedented success in Hong Kong, but the increasingly notable national security risks in the city have become a prominent problem. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Sunday defended Beijing's move and warned against any foreign interference. Wang insists Hong Kong affairs are an internal matter for China and no external interference will be tolerated. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of citizens in Hong Kong took to the streets on Sunday to protest China's power grab. Protesters crowded around Causeway Bay, Hong Kong's shopping district, ignoring police warnings about social distancing regulations, leading to at least 180 arrests. Watchers say Hong Kong's first large-scale protest since the outbreak underscores the depth of many residents' outrage and fear of Beijing's push for the national security law, with many more protests expected in the weeks to come. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
President Trump's national security advisor has made it clear to North Korea that if it wants to re-enter the world, it has to abandon its nuclear weapons program. Speaking on CBS News on Sunday, Robert O'Brien pointed out that the Trump administration has avoided conflict with the regime since Trump took office in January of 2017. As for the regime's recent release of photos of leader Kim Jong-un, O'Brien said the U.S. has to see what the images signal. In one of them, Kim is shown holding a pointer at a Central Military Committee meeting of the Workers' Party of Korea and reportedly discussed expanding of the regime's nuclear capabilities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived at Jerusalem District Court on Sunday local time to face charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. He becomes the first serving Israeli Prime Minister to go on trial. Netanyahu is accused of offering favors to media moguls in exchange for favorable news coverage of him and his family and accepting expensive gifts from wealthy friends. He did not enter a plea, but he repeatedly proclaimed his innocence. And local analysts say that the trial could last months or even for years. Now, in the era of global pandemic, people are finding ways to get things done while minimizing unnecessary physical contact. One main area that's been affected is shopping. And biometric identification makes it so you can buy things just by showing your face. Our Kim Sung-min with this report.
To register, just go to your local bank and find a facial recognition kiosk. You stand in front of a huge screen and enter your credit card information. Then, the system maps your facial landmarks and stores them as data. Once registered, you can pay for things at affiliated stores just by showing your face to a screen like this one.
As the payment service uses a non-contact biometric identification system, it'll allow people to do their basic shopping while avoiding direct contact with other people.
Normally, you have to exchange a physical card to pay, but I believe that the growth of non-contact culture because of COVID-19 will accelerate the development of biometric identification in our society.
It's not only the financial sector that's adopting the technology. For building security systems, one major company has gone completely non-contact with some of their products, using facial recognition to replace fingerprints.
Identification is key to non-contact services like online classes and online healthcare services. With Korea moving to get rid of the old system of public certificates for those kinds of services, non-contact biometric identification, which is safer and more convenient, is expected to keep growing amid COVID-19.
The Korea Information Security Industry Association forecasts the domestic market for facial recognition systems to grow to around $121 million this year. And because mask wearing has become the new norm since the virus outbreak, the industry is adapting to that too. Some of the newer biometric systems can identify a person even with their mask on, and some are designed to verify only people wearing masks. Kim Sung-min, Arirang News.
Good morning. Morning temperatures in most areas were in the mid-teens under lots of clouds, but it will turn warmer and sunnier by the afternoon, and highs will rise to the low to mid-20s, ranging from 21 to 26 degrees Celsius nationwide. And along with the sunshine we'll be seeing, very strong UV rays will beam down on many inland regions, that's including here in the capital. So don't forget your sunscreen and sunglasses during the day and drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. This week, we'll notice the transition from late spring to more summer-like weather. Highs jumping to the high 20s in Seoul by Friday. In a shorter term, we could see passing showers tomorrow afternoon into early Wednesday. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for news around the world.
that does it for this edition of Arirang News. As always, thank you for watching.